We're live. Hello, everyone.
Yay!
Hi.
Oh my god. Hold on.
Oh my god, people are hanging out in chat already. Let's see. Excited. Hello.
Yay, Sheena. Hello. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Justin. Thank you.
Justin. Very cool.
And coffee.
Hi, everyone. This is so fun. Welcome to this month's Spell Your Soul Book Club episode. I'm Sonia, and then our co-host Victoria is up and down. And then we have the super special, amazing, awesome goth Emily A Duncan here, author of Wicked Saints, which was our March book club pick. And we're very excited to have her with us to talk all things blood magic.
All things goth, all things blood magic, all things good.
Howdy.
Hi, Jen.
Oh, I think I'm going to let a couple of people come in. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. This is awesome. Victoria was bothering me for a really long time to read Wicked Saints. I'm glad I did.
It's my brand. I bother everyone to read it. I'm just like, have you read about my children today? So.
See.
Hi, Dan.
It's okay. You're good. Take care of yourself. Everyone is saying hi. Yes, I guess, Victoria, do you want to talk about your, because you introduced it to me, so, how did you find it? And then, we could start going into that.
Well, I think like a lot of the fans of this book, I found it in post Raylo book hunt binge. And I was trying to recover. I was trying to find something else to hyperfixate on. And obviously I found Maquillage. So that's why we're here. Yeah, that's how we got to where we are. So yeah, and every chance I get, I tell people to read it, especially my friends that I know that love colouring. So yes. Also, here's our poor babies behind us on the wall.
I don't know if I can put my screen because I've got.
Yes, you've got the big poster.
We love this.
My 1,000 Kylo Ren Funko Pops are on the other side. I can't turn my computer that way. That's very good.
I have this very strange statue here that my husband and my daughter got me from a hardware store, and I love it. It was a Christmas present.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a good find. Apparently, my daughter wouldn't let them leave without buying it for me. So she knows things.
So fun. Yeah, it wasn't until I have to trust people to be so there's this boy named Kylo Ren, before I deep dive into that. And then I finally felt comfortable with Victoria, and I was like, you know what? I love Kylo Ren. She's like, boy, do I have a book for you, which is funny because
let me tell you.
So my perception, English is not my first language, and I'm really bad with consonants. And so these names are very hard for me to pronounce. I am so sorry.
Eastern Europe, man, it's all consonants.
I know, and I'm just Spanish is my first language. It's very flowy. It's not a hard sounding language.
It's very different.
It's very different. And it's I have no idea. So I'm not sure how to pronounce the main boy's name. If you want to, I think a lot of people might have if you want to tell us how to pronounce their names so we don't mess it up.
A lot of people listen to the audiobook thinking that it will help, and then the audiobook got it wrong.
Oh no!
Yeah,
that's not
I
good.
told everybody that was listening to it. I was like, and remember, it's Maquillage. It's not Malachi.
Maquillage. Yeah.
Okay, so Maquillage.
Maquillage. Yeah.
Okay, Maquillage. Okay, cool. I was just
it goes up.
Him Mala in my head. I was just Mala.
I've always assumed that it's just if you don't know how to pronounce it, it's just white noise, because that's what my brain does. My brain just white noises over names that I don't know how to pronounce. So whatever.
I just say M.
And our enemy, enemy character, Seraphin. Is it Seraphin?
Seraphin.
Okay, cool. I got one name right. Oof, that was so scary. So when she was there's this boy in this book, and he's, it's kind of like Kylo Ren. And then I was reading, I was they're very different characters, but motivation-wise, I definitely see where the Kylo likeness comes in. And that was super exciting for me. And I already have book 2.
Book 2 is my favorite.
And then we're super excited for book 3 to come out next month. Are you excited?
I am. I have it. Yet.
Yay! That's so awesome. Do you want to tell people what book 2 comes out so they can mark it in their calendars?
This one comes out April 6th.
Very soon. It's like that's like
hold on. It's 10 days. It's fine. I'm fine.
It's fine. It's so good.
It's the 6th.
It's so exciting.
I read the like chapter excerpt of it that Wednesday Books posted and that you shared in your story like a couple of weeks back. And I kid you not, like I lay on the floor afterwards and I was just like, I just lay on the floor with like phone above my face, texting it to everyone and like sending voicemails of me screaming. Like Sheena will tell you I was like, it's my son. He's
having a really bad day. He's just having the worst day. Just terrible time.
Yes. So what are my first questions for you? Oh, do you want to go first, Victoria? Oh my gosh.
I also, just before we close off Kylo Ren for the minute, I also wanted to say I love how in the acknowledgements for Wicked Saints, you said that your editor would ask you, like, what would Kylo Ren do? And I was like, me too.
I got it. I got it from both sides. I got it from my agent and my editor.
Me too.
That's awesome. I think one of the best.
So good. What an awesome team.
About this book is that the vibes are like immaculate, just like radiating. So I don't know if you like listened to music while you were writing it, but 2 particular artists came into my mind while I was reading it, and it was Chelsea Wolfe. Just like His Spun, that album in particular was like a really big. And then I'm not sure if you know them. I believe it's Ignata, like she did the album Caligula.
Lingua Ignata.
Yeah. I was like, I have such hard time with like names. They were also like a super big, like while I was reading, it's got those type of like vibes from it, very like elevated, big, dreary, droopy type of like intensity.
Yes. You're spot on. That you're right. That's it. Yes.
That's so awesome. I was just like reading.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of metal. And I listen to both those artists. I didn't listen to them as much when I was writing Wicked Saints. What did I listen to when I was writing Wicked Saints? I listened to actually a lot of like instrumental music and like Orthodox chants when I was writing Wicked Saints. And then when I was writing Ruthless Gods, I was listening to like Batushka and metal that like was just noise. It was just noise and screaming, which you can tell.
It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
Yeah. Bloods and Monsters similarly had it was just the noise. We've just moved to ambient noise.
Just like
ambient noise. Okay.
Out there.
Okay.
Oh my god. It's like every time I was like reading and stuff like that, because there were like parts of this book I was like reading, and I was like also listening to like Touche Amore while I was reading, which is very like heavy, emotional, like straight up like everything is terrible. And my boyfriend is like, what are you doing? And I was like, what is this noise? And it was like, that's how I feel. And my heart is just like,
It's perfect.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you was how did you come about writing like a story where you're just like everyone is messy and then everyone's motivations are like literally just so like chaotic and so like just neutral in how they proceed and they're like to their goals? Because I've noticed that fantasy is always so tropey, and I can't stand like these holier than thou like attitudes when it comes to like chasing like their religion or their politics and like trying to usurp like a ruler. But then it was so refreshing to read Wicked Saints because that was like literally thrown out the window, and we were just like, okay, what if everyone just decided to be chaotic for like 300 plus pages?
I grew up reading a lot of 80s and 90s fantasy, which is, I mean, I can't recommend any of it. Unless you know what you're getting into, don't go back there. But a lot of times in those kinds of books, you would have casts where, you had the overblown, like, way too, like, goody two-shoes kinds of characters, but then they would just have, like, an evil character along for the ride with them. It's because I read a lot of Dungeons and Dragons books, which they would go, all of the characters were, like, set up by their alignment. So you would have a lot of, like, lawful neutral characters, and then you would have your neutral evil character just along for the ride. And I thought that was great. It's my favorite thing. And I wanted to do that. And so I'm just more interested in characters that, like, are in it for very particular and usually selfish reasons. I like when things are more internal and cerebral, and I get very bored when things get super moral. I always joke that I want everyone to come away from this book having learned nothing. I don't want to ever teach you a lesson. We don't learn things here. Because I was always really annoyed when I read books when I was a teenager, and it felt like I was being taught a lesson. I was like, well, I don't care. You're not my mother. Please no. And so my goal is to write a book where that is if all goes well, we will learn nothing.
No, I definitely
appreciate this.
Yeah, because the moment I was introduced to our protagonists, I was like, oh, a blood mage and a cleric. I wonder how this is gonna go down. Because I play D&D, but I usually play Pathfinder, which is like D&D, like 3.5 or whatever. And one of the first times I ever played a game, I ended up being like a necromancer, who was literally just trying to like be like reigned like in the underworld. And my party members were like, oh, we're gonna go save the kingdom from like these bad people. But I would never tell them that I was like trying to do that. So I'd just be like, cool, I'm just gonna go along with you guys. And then my partner's character was just like a lizard who wanted to be king of the lizards and did nothing but like
gonna eat it later.
Yeah, I just did nothing but like kind of just slither around, like trying to do what he can. So I really appreciated all of the D&D stuff that I like I could feel just radiating from it. I could tell that you love it, and I know you like Critical Role too, because I read your the thing you published for Tor. That was really cool. So it was so cool to kind of see like yeah, just all of these things kind of amalgamated in this like really cool world that you built. Do you want to go B?
I feel so overwhelmed right now because of reasons. But I did write down some notes prior. I was slightly prepared so that I knew this wouldn't happen. Did you know how we get all of the like super like goth Eastern European like imagery for the monastery in the first like sort of part of Wicked Saints? Was there somewhere specific that you had researched or envisioned when you were like writing that opening sequence? Because I know that you did like a lot of research on like Eastern European, and you got like lots of Eastern European texts and like vampire stuff through in your library to like find out, but I didn't really know if there was somewhere specific that you had like envisioned in your head, or if you were just like, this place is the bomb, I'm just gonna do it, I imagined the whole thing.
The only setting that was based on a real place was I moved out of Eastern Europe. The Vulture Cathedral is based on the cathedral in Cologne, Germany. It's huge and super gothic, and I love it so much. That was really the only one that like I had a specific place in mind. The opening scene was inspired by Skyrim, so
yes,
you know, when you go up to I've never finished this quest because I played Skyrim since it came out, and I've never done the like main quest line. But when you go up the mountain to the people that the Greybeards, is that what they're called? I've never played this quest.
Is that like where you go up the like ice mountain and there are people like in catacombs.
With all the
like
steps?
Yeah, with all the steps.
Yeah.
Okay, I know exactly what you're
That's what
talking
it was.
about. Okay,
No,
cool.
I was inspired by that.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it.
No
That's
real place, just Skyrim.
Skyrim. It's fine.
I love it. Perfect.
Kaz Brecker, we love Miss Lee Bardugo here, I'm pretty sure.
We do. Do you thank her in the acknowledgements in this as well? I'm pretty sure. Hold on. I love reading the acknowledgements, so I'm pretty sure I saw that. Yes. I love that. That's amazing.
I saw your tweet about the Darkling, and then you're like, and then I wrote a trilogy about it. But I was like, I have no idea what this means or who this is, but I guess I should read this because I'm basic. My first Lee Bardugo book was like Ninth House, and I like loved that because I was like, oh my god, like occults. This is. I mean, I literally named my book club like Sell Your Soul because I think book clubs are cults too. You know, like I was just like obsessed. And then I read Six of Crows, and then I read Crooked Kingdom, but I haven't read anything before, so I'm guessing it's one of the before books.
It's her first series. I read it when it came out. I met her when Siege and the Storm came out, I think is when we became friends. Because she was super active in her own little Tumblr fandom when it was normal and not insane, like it is now. Because it's now way too big. But yeah, she's the best. She's so sweet. I love her so much.
There's like Goth Queen Lee Bardugo, and then there's like Goth Queen Emily Duncan. And,
it's so funny because when V was like, you should read this book, it's by Emily A Duncan, and I was like, oh my god, I follow her because I was like, that's just the goth girl that I follow on Twitter who talks about D&D sometimes and Kylo Ren. And I found you through Lee Bardugo, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool, because like when I read Ninth House, I like went onto Tumblr because like when I go on Tumblr nowadays, I used to run like a horror blog, but then they got like really weird about like horror film stuff. So I was just like, okay, never mind. I guess I won't be here anymore. Because I like made a Twin Peaks meme and they like flagged like this like John Mulaney meme I made about like John Mulaney being in like the Black Lodge, and they were like, this is explicit, and I was like, okay, never mind. I was like, I'm not gonna be here anymore.
Their bots do a really good job of
flagging
content. They just kind of flag everything.
I was like, okay, whatever. I'm piecing out, and then I was like going through the Ninth House stuff because I was like, I wanted to see like how people like saw like Darlington and Alex, and then I saw like Alex and Darlington, and then like Nadia and like Malakiash. That's, I don't know. It's just like, so like it's so hard. My like tongue has to like go up, and then it like shoots.
It doesn't like help
up and down.
Yeah, Eastern European languages emphasize in the middle, and that is not what like English doesn't do that. Like other like so it's a learning curve.
Yeah, and it's like, does it help because like our first language is in Spanish, and so like it's just like Spanish is so like rolls off of, and it's very like closed in, and just it's fast. It's just like blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just like, I don't know. And I was like, that was like the one thing I was terrified. I was like, I'm gonna go on the stream and I'm not gonna know how to pronounce anything.
It's okay.
And then I was like, oh, like who is this? And like it took like a really long time for me to like piece everything together to be like, oh, it's this book. But I'm really glad that I read it. I really, really loved it. I think Nadia as a character, I know people like criticize Nadia for being like, what am I supposed to learn about her? Which I think is like really, I think it's kind of a dumb and weird like criticism to have. And it's like, I think it's so awesome that she's just messy, and she has a lot of internal like turmoil over like the gods who are literally like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. And then she's like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then she's like, but I want to.
But maybe I should.
Maybe I like she's just like, what happens if I like kissed this like boy?
Yeah. Marzinya's like, kill him. And she's like, what if I kissed him instead? Marzinya's like, no, kill him. And she's like, what if I kissed him again?
What if I didn't do that?
It's just like head empty, no thoughts. I love this scene near the end when they are like after they met Seraphim and then like they're starting to like plan the coup, and they're just like chilling and like they cuddle like that like during the night before they decide, you know, they're like, okay, they're like, we don't know what's gonna happen now, like we're not sure where this is gonna go, like I might have to kill you tomorrow, I might not have to, and they're just like, okay, whatever, and they just like cuddle, and I was just like, these like small little snippets of like character moments, I was like, I am living for this, and I feel like I miss that in fantasy so much.
It's my trademark. Do something really, really nice. I do something really nice. This is my very nice, sweet moment right before everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
So generally, if you're getting near the end of one of my books and something really nice has happened, do know that that is the moment that everything is now going to go to hell.
Yeah, because then like everything else happens, and I'm like, oh, like. The epilogue for this book, I was just like, oh, this boy is just not, he's just evil, and that's fine. I think it's so funny because a lot of people like always say like one day I'll be like canceled because JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is my favorite anime, and I have a podcast, and I am the biggest Dio Brando stan like on the face of this planet, and if you don't know, Dio Brando is like the literal worst person. Like he's like the worst entity. He's like the epitome of evil in like the JoJo universe, and he's my favorite character because he was just born that way. He's just born to be a literal monster who just wants to do what he wants, and he wants to just get what he wants. And I appreciate your protagonists for just doing the same, because I'm like, I am living for this. This is the best time I'm having, and I just had such a fun time. I really haven't read something that is as keen and interested in like my gothic nature, because gothic horror is so like so good, but a lot of times it's like ghosts and haunted houses, or it's just like mold is growing in this house, and like there's a lot of like you know, like it's like I love gothic horror.
Yeah, because there's capital G gothic, there's the genre. And then there's like gothic, the other genre. There's the literary genre, and then there's everything else.
Yeah.
And
I'm a big fantasy person, and like I'm like, why can't I ever seem to find like a fantasy book that is just like, it just goes insane, and like all of the characters are making like the worst decisions, but they're also like political scheming, to the point where it's like almost like roundaboutish, or it's like, oh, that all of these like, it's like, oh, we have like our lawful good character trying to like appease her gods, and then our villain character who has daddy issues trying to like usurp his father because he knows his dad's gonna kill him anyways, and then like this literal like bastard boy is just a monster who's just like, I'm gonna do what I want and fuck anyone who's in my way. And I was like, yes, this is what I appreciate. This is my life.
It gets more chaotic in the second one.
I know, I haven't started, but oof.
You'll lose your mind for Ruthless Gods. I was swear, say, like
everything you just said, I'm like, oh, you're gonna like the second one even more.
It's just so fun.
Like,
they just keep going in circles.
I just want you to read it.
I love it so much.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like what happens in Ruthless Gods, you are just going to lie down on the floor and be in awe of the like majesticness when you finish it. So I hope you read it soon, real soon. Can we read it together, please?
Yes, it's what I'm reading next. And then I have 2 arcs from Sylvia Moreno Garcia, who wrote Mexican Gothic. I have a copy of Velvet Was the Night and The Beautiful Ones. So that's what I'm planning on reading next one. And then like your third book, the ending to the trilogy. It's gonna be so good.
Pretty sure I'm going to take a day off work to read Blessed Monsters so that I can just lie on my bed and be like,
probably
so yeah, because otherwise I'll be doing that at my desk.
It's as long as Ruthless Gods. It was almost, I wrote it the the first few drafts I wrote were like 800 pages long. My editor was like, "This book doesn't need to be that long. We're gonna cut out 50,000 words of Malachias just being sad and thinking." This is
Damn
fair.
it.
It's fair.
Oh my
He does
goodness.
a lot of thinking. He does so much thinking.
Yeah. You do get that vibe in Ruthless Gods for sure. So I'm so excited to read it. I did have a small minor tantrum when I didn't get approved for the arc on what's it called, NetGalley. I was like,
They weren't
Like
letting
this,
very
though.
many go.
no, completely fair as well. Like the last book in a series, it just makes sense. But I still valid of my tantruming. So.
Oh my gosh. So I know everyone always has the like, oh well, Kylo Ren and Malik. My tongue has to go
You
up.
can call him Mal if you want to. I
Okay,
give you
Mal.
express permission.
Okay,
Normally
gotcha.
I don't allow that, but you're allowed.
Okay, thank you. It's just like it's so embarrassing. Like I had to go to like speech therapy as a kid, so I have a lot of issues with like talking, which is like funny because I write better than I talk, but I like stumble and I stutter and I can't. It's just like a mess because I didn't talk till I was like 7 to anyone, and I had to like go to therapy, and then they're like, this girl can't pronounce like consonants, and then it's like, oh, but she can speak in Spanish, so it's just like this whole ordeal. But for Nadia, were there any particular characters or any particular like pop culture icons that kind of like maybe not necessarily inspired, because I feel like Nadia is definitely like her own person, but maybe that you kind of like picked and chose some traits from some people to kind of like blend into her?
Less with Nadia, more with Malachias, actually. No, Nadia was just kind of her own thing. She was built up around the concept of what if someone could talk to all the gods? That would be weird, actually. Maybe stuck a little bit. When I was querying the book, I queried it as a Joan of Arc kind of story, but it was never like that wasn't my starting point. Which I'm kind of glad that has been kind of forgotten, because when Wicked Saints came out, it was being marketed like that. I was like, oh, but it's not a Joan of Arc story, so that's gonna be awkward.
Remember that.
That's a little weird. We don't do that. We don't talk about that anymore. But there weren't any other particular characters for her. But Malachias was what happened if you combined Raceland Majir from Dragonlance, who is an evil wizard, and Howl from Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, that's
together.
Oh, that's really fun. That's very fun. I really like that a lot. I very much appreciate that. It's very cool. That's super neat. And then did you have any idea for Seraphim too? He also seems to be like, he's a character that I like. Usually characters like him in fantasy tend to be like, like comedic relief, kind of like just like a comically like oversaturated. Yeah, or that. But he is like, he's got some real daddy issues going on, and he's got like a little bit of like imposter syndrome, and he's just like vibing.
A lot of war trauma.
Yeah, and he's so multifaceted and so interesting, and his fascination with Nadia, even before and like he realizes like who she is. I just found that it's just so good.
Depression hair.
So did you have any characters you were like, oh, maybe like I'm gonna whatever from them?
Less characters and more like, there are a lot of princes in YA high fantasy, and there are a lot of princes in YA high fantasy who should be deeply traumatized, and they're not. And so it was kind of like building up from, okay, but if you did have a character like this, they would be a disaster. Like, they would be traumatized out of their minds. And handing them the throne may actually not be the best idea, all things considered. And so it was less a specific character, and also more of just like, that kind of character is always the love interest. And he for like half a draft, and then I wrote one scene with him and Nadia together, and I was like, oh, this absolutely not. No, I don't like. They've got a fun kind of chemistry, but there's nothing about it that's romantic to me. So I like wrote one scene and I was like, oh no. And so it was kind of built off of the fact that we've seen this kind of character a lot, but let's see it a little differently this time.
Yeah, I'm wearing my drinking problem.
Yeah, I was actually just.
Let's do it with a lot of alcohol.
My Evangelion shirt, and it's Asuka. It's Asuka's Eva, but Seraphim reminded me a lot of Misato. I don't know if you've seen Evangelion. It's one of my favorite animes. It's a mech anime. I know it's like very like whatever. It's very traumatizing though. It's basically about like trauma. And Misato is a character who is basically the head of a like dystopian like war like conglomerate called Nerve that they're literally training like children to get into these robots to basically stop the end of the world. And she's head of it. So she's the one who's like, not only does she house these children, she's basically like her father was like the head of it. So she's like the heir to like this like war empire essentially. And she has a really bad drinking problem. But they're constantly like, hey, like, do you remember when the first war, like war is like called like the third impact is basically when like existence just shattered and everyone kind of like died. And she has like a lot of executive like dysfunctional problems and she drinks a lot. And Seraphim really reminded me of that, where it was like so deeply troubled and like obviously they're drinking a lot and he's just so tired. He's just so
tired.
Boy needs a nap.
So tired. He's 19
for about
years old.
a year.
He's never slept. He's so tired.
It's like he needs a nap right now. ASAP.
Really good long nap.
Yeah, because it just reminded me of just her, where it was. I've never seen a piece of media that kind of like when Misato is like it really struck me as like, oh my god, like this is like this is what happens when you're constantly going to war and you're constantly traumatized. And like I obviously people have like alcohol dependencies, but like it was just like all of that built up trauma and having to just push forward. I just found him very like. I immediately fell in love with him, and I was like, I can't hate this guy. And I was like,
you're not supposed to. It's okay.
Yeah, he was so lovable.
If you were, we wouldn't get his point of view.
Yeah, and just fascinating. It's sad, sleepy boy.
He's so sad.
He's so sad. And then him and Caspar. Mm-hmm. It's with an A.
Okay, so it's technically Catchper. But I don't enforce that one because nobody would know that.
Okay, so wait, say it again for me.
It's technically Catchper.
Catchper.
Yeah. So most people just call him Casper, and that's fine. That's okay.
Well, it's funny that these names are so hard for me to pronounce, but my name is spelled Cidnya, and so like, but the D is silent. So it's just like Senya. It's like, so my name is like hard to pronounce, like, but I can't pronounce anything else. And then a lot of people call like, they're like Sidnia or like Sidna. And I'm like, no, none of this. They're like, you would never guess what letter in this name is silent. Their chemistry is super fun, and I really liked reading their interactions. I'm very excited to see where that goes in book 2, because I actually just don't really know anything about book 2. I'm like glowing and blind here.
That's fun.
I avoid fandoms, not because I'm like, oh my god, spoilers, because I literally am just an old lady. And I just like don't have the time for that.
I was never super into them because I realized that I don't like other people's opinions. So I don't. Whatever.
Also, yeah. Also that too.
Yeah. I want to discuss other people's opinions if I value their opinion, but I don't want to get into a fandom and look at other people's opinions and then be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So
I feel like when the internet was smaller, it made more sense, but now there's no way to curate your fandom experience. Yeah. Like you really can't shut out the noise, and so I feel like, man, it's not good anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. It's super tough. I do want to do something quickly to show how much I appreciate everyone that is in this chat and part of a fandom and not the bad kind of noise. So I have 2 of the little Owl Crate pins that came with Blessed Monsters. So I'm going to do a giveaway for our friends in the chat. So if you want me to put you in the draw for this, please just leave a comment saying that you want to, and then I'll do a little spinny wheel situation later on today. So yeah, I love it. I've got 2 of them, so I thought now's the perfect time to do a giveaway with my extra ones. So.
Yes,
they chose my favorite. They chose my favorite quote in the book for that pin. I was very happy.
It's so good. And I know that the girl from Alchemy and Ink that designed it is such a big fan of yours as well. She's so lovely. Like, I just love her whole space, her whole aesthetic, her whole vibe is just like immaculate, and she's so kind. So yeah, it was just so cool when they announced that box and it was her doing this amazing pin with this awesome quote, and to know that it's like your favorite. Oh, my heart. Yeah,
I don't know the person that's doing the pin for the Owl Crate Blessed Monsters, but their stuff all looks amazing. So I'm excited to see.
Looks beautiful, but
I knew what the pin was going to look like for Ruthless Gods because she showed it to me. Because I don't know this person doing the Blessed Monsters one. I do not know what the pin is going to look like, so I will find out alongside everyone else. Quite excited.
Oh, that is super
fun.
Speaking of pins, needles, and then blood. I want to talk about like all of the blood magic, because the moment I opened up this book and I read the first chapter, I sent like a message in all caps being like, blood magic, are you fucking kidding? This is delicious.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I love this so much. And I just, because like when I play D&D, I tend to be like a vampire, like a necromancer, like I tend to be like of the evil alignment, doing just like weird stuff, trying to like break the magic system in D&D, because I just want to, and I'm just like, just let my character do that. And I just what was the like brainchild for like just like they're just going to be blood magic, and the like ideology difference, because I never once like thought about like the difference between like, oh, like a cleric and their like holy pantheon of gods in Nadia's case, because she can like get all of them, versus like people with just like razors equipped to their clothes, which is so cool, by the way, that like you had characters think about how they would utilize their clothing in order to like do their magic. It's such like a physical and like intimate act to like create, which I really loved. It's very cool. And so I just like kind of want to know what the brainchild for that was.
It it was very simple, in fact, because it wasn't simple. This took me a very long time. I had the Kalyazi side of the magic system set up for a very long time. There were years where like this was set in stone. I wasn't going to change it. This was working. And for a long time, like, Trinavia was just this enemy kingdom, and I didn't really like, it wasn't working because there wasn't enough to them to make them interesting. And so I started pulling, like, I worked in opposition. If a country that is super zealous and like super religious gets only their magic from the gods, what's going to drive them to get involved with this holy war that just does not end? And that would be a magic system that relies on no gods. You don't even really need training. Literally anyone can do it. And pretty much from there, it was very easy to figure out. I knew I wanted to do spell books because I was playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and I really liked the mage outfit with the spell books on their belts. I was like, "Oh, I like that. I'm gonna do that."
Oh, look on my belt.
I love it.
It's so cool.
And the razors were, it just made sense. Because they would have to be fumbling with a knife and a spell book, which they do in later books, because a lot of them don't retain their military jackets, so they don't have those later. But for ease of use. And I wanted it to be gnarly. I wanted it to be gross. I like when blood magic is gross, and I feel like it isn't always. Sometimes it's like weirdly sanitary for a magic system using blood. And I wanted it to be nasty.
I thoroughly appreciated it. It was absolutely wonderful for me. And I was like, this is everything I could want. This is what I want. Because like I said, I'm so fascinated by your characters and your character writing and just like their just propensity to just fucking going for it. Like they're just like doing
That's
it.
everything up.
Because I absolutely like love body horror. So I was reading this like blood magic. What it reminded me actually was about like Clive. It reminded me of Clive Barker a lot, actually.
I've never read Clive Barker. I have meant to my whole life, and I.
It just reminded me a lot of like when like this Cenobites would like get very angry at like humans and stuff like that. There would be times where like they would use their magic to like literally like pull people like apart, and then you'd like all that blood would just like go on the floor and stuff like that. And like in the movies where it's like the dripping of blood is like it can be like not only just like scary, but like also like this like elevated like sexual tension and stuff like that. Because Clive Barker was like he was for it, and I was just like, oh, it just like, kind of reminded me of that because like and the fantasy I'm like accustomed to is so like I hate to call myself basic, but it's just like it's very like Game of Thrones, like, you know, and all of that stuff. So it's just like, this is so cool.
You'll like the second one. There's more body horror.
I'm having such a hard time not telling you any spoilers for Ruthless Gods. I'm like,
there's so much more body horror.
Oh, you're going to, I swear, it's gonna maybe your favorite book of all time. I don't know, but it's
Let's see. We could compare. My favorite book of all time. I actually have a tattoo of it. Is let's see. It says like it's this dedication page to House of Leaves. Is like so. This is what it says. Like this is not for you. Is my absolute favorite like book like ever on the face of the planet.
The book that I'm working on right now is a YA House of Leaves. So.
Excuse me. That's so cool. I'm sorry. I'm like fangirling right now. It is so fucking cool.
I can't talk about it. It's still a secret. But.
Okay, but like, oh, that is so cool. So like, just a little. I read House of Leaves for the first time when I was like 16, and I understood like maybe like 12% of it. I'm pretty sure because like, wow, what was like? My ex-boyfriend gave it to me. Was like, I know this is kind of weird. Maybe you'd like it, and then I fell in love. And then I discovered Circus Survive through them, and I love Anthony Green and like post-hardcore music and like emo and screamo and stuff. So like the emo metal community like embraces that book as like one of their own, and so many people meet each other through there. That's kind of how I found out about like Touche Amore and like Chelsea Wolfe and stuff like that. And then I go to school for English and stuff like that. So like one of my favorite things is like experimental like literature, and like having to work to read your books is like just something that's so fascinating to me, which is why I love House of Leaves so much. It's one of my favorite books. I got this tattoo the day like I turned 18, and I was like, I'm getting a tattoo, and it was my first one, and I've never regretted it because it's like so fun.
I read House of Leaves when I was in college for my my final thesis. And I remember finishing it and going into my advisor's office and being like, this book ruined my life. It took me 3 months to read, and I felt awful the entire time. Like, the book is literally cursed.
Yeah.
I love it so much, but oh my God, it is cursed.
Mm-hmm. I've had 5 different copies of that book, and only twice have I given it to people. I don't know what happened to the other 3.
Yeah.
I like you said, it's cursed.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I think about it too long, I kind of get really antsy and I want to like give it to someone. Like I think about yeah, where like so I'll get in a mood where I literally have to like hide it, where I'm like, I don't want to like think about it. And what I would do is I would take it out and I would just like give it to someone. I'm like, put this somewhere in the house. Don't tell me where it is. Like, when I find it, I find it. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure because I moved, they just stay in the houses. So someone's gonna like move into one of my old houses. They're gonna find the book, and their life is gonna be ruined.
God, you just get to those scenes where like you have to read the book in a spiral, and it just feels bad. Like it feels wrong and bad and not good. I love it. I love that book.
So taking the mirror to it, or
yeah,
that like 150-page span where it's just like 1 to 2 words on the page, and I've ripped a couple of pages being like, what is going on?
When it goes just around the page, but like there's nothing on the inside, I just love it so much.
Is the vibes for that one also immaculate? Yeah. I don't know if you had any more questions, Victoria, because I can like talk forever. So I was just like,
I know, I love it. I'm having the time of my life listening. It makes me so happy. I did also write down that this note says moth on Seraphine's knee in chapter 15. So I don't know why I wrote that down, but it seemed important at the time. And then I also wrote, where did the idea for the vultures? Yeah, where did the idea for the vultures come from? Because I love them.
Oh man.
So much.
Where did the idea for the vultures? So this was so long ago. Do I remember this? The first few drafts of the book only had Nadia. Then the next few drafts of the book had Nadia and Seraphine. Could never get it past like 50,000, not even 50,000 words. I can get it past 15,000 words. And I had gotten, every time I got to like the part where Nadia meets up with Rashid and Parijahan, I would get stuck. And so eventually I was like, I'm just going to introduce like 12 characters and maybe something will work. And Malakiash was supposed to be in three chapters at most. He was just supposed to kind of like nudge her plot-wise along, because she and Seraphine are not like the best protagonists because neither of them want to do anything.
Like me.
So, and then I got to the scene, he was not introduced as, like, I didn't know what he was when I introduced him. I thought he was just a blood mage who defected from the army. The whole process of writing Wicked Saints was realizing that he was lying to me as well. I wrote the end, like, I had no idea that the end was going to happen that way. And then it did, and I had to be like, great, I gotta revise the whole book so that this makes sense, because this doesn't make sense now. Nightmare. But the scene where the worst. The scene where they get to the church and the vultures are like nearby, or in the original draft they had been in the church, and that was how he realized that they were nearby. But like that was when I realized that like, oh, there's something else going on. There's this big cult. There's this really convoluted, complicated political structure to this country that doesn't really make sense, but we're just gonna go with it. And it kind of just unfolded from there. It wasn't really inspired by any one thing in particular, more of like that I just really like writing cults. I just like a good cult. And I really wanted, like, all of Polish folklore is very monster heavy and very vampire heavy. And so I was kind of like writing vampires without writing vampires. Because it makes sense that if you were experimenting with blood magic in a country obsessed with vampires, well, your end goal might be a little weird. So,
oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That's what we got.
I really liked the vultures, and I liked Mal's connection to them, because one, that was like a total like, oh okay. I was just like, hold up 1 second. You mean to tell me? Surprise! It was like, if Nadia is like the fool, then I am like Boo Boo the fool. I'm like absolutely shattered. I was just like,
The thing is that I wrote it kind of expecting the reader to be like 3 steps ahead of Nadia. Because I thought it was kind of obvious. Like, I thought I had dropped enough like everything he says can be taken 2 different ways throughout the entire book. And so I kind of figured, like, this isn't actually going to be, like, that much of a twist ending, because, like, you can see it coming. Like, who else would the Black Vulture be but, like, this weirdo over here? And then the book came out and everyone was surprised, and I was like, oh, never mind then.
Well, I think for me, the reason I was so surprised, because, like, he has such a vulnerability to him that is so, like, tender and so, like, particular that it, like, reminds me of, like, it's like, I know you're evil, but, like, I want to, like, not necessarily I want to fix you, but it was just like, I want to, like, pat you on the head and tell you, like, it's okay.
A lot of brushes here.
Yeah, you know? And so, like, that type of, like, boyish vulnerability, like, it just got me. Like, I just got tricked. It was just, like, I just, like, felt so deeply, and, like, I love, like, Fire Emblem, like, 3 Houses, and it just kind of reminds me of just, and, like, I love Evangelion, which is literally the, like, children's soldiers, so I just always feel, like, particularly savvy about, like, teens who are just so, like, troubled by, like, the cults that they live in, or the military industrial complex that they have to be, like, beholden to, or, you know, whatever is the case. I feel such a, like, oh no, like, you're bad, but, like, it'll be okay. And then I was like, oh, he's just bad.
He's just the worst.
He's just, it's like,
awful.
I had a tweet pop off where it was like, I only want to read about characters that get worse. I don't care about redemption. And you were like, here you go. It was like, not all characters have to be good. Sometimes they can just get worse.
I loved the way that when you're reading Wicked Saints and you first meet Malakiaj, and you just get that sense of, like, the whole way until the end, and you're like,
yeah,
that's why I love it. That's why I love it. So.
Give the monster boys their head pats. Head pads.
He's doing his best.
Also, Emily, how do you think Malakiaj would feel about that book box Fae crate turning him into a plushie so that we can literally pat him on the head?
It's so cute. He would hate
I hope you're
so
getting
much.
like 10.
He would hate it so much. I'm really excited for I've seen all the dust jackets. They're so good.
I missed out on the box the first time, and I literally, like, sat on the floor in my office and, like, had a patty about it. I was like, and my workmates were like, what are you doing? And I was like, book things. And then when I saw that they were restocking them, I, like, set my alarm, and then I got my husband's wallet because my card was, like, not working, and I was, like, stressing about it, and I had it done, like, within a minute. I was sorted, like, got it paid for and ordered. I was like, accomplishment.
I felt bad because, like, it's a smaller box. They can't really make that many. But I was not expecting it to sell out as fast as it did.
Like 5 minutes or something, wasn't it? Like,
it was really fast. It was like 20 minutes the first time and then 5 minutes the second. And I was like, oh no.
That was so awesome for me because I know that those 2 ladies work so hard. So, like, congrats to them for selling out. It's amazing.
They usually work with a different artist to do the dust jackets for these kinds of things, but she was on vacation, so they asked me. They were like, "Do you have anyone?" And Therese did, like, my first piece of fan art. The end of Wicked Saints is the way it is because of a piece of art Therese did. And so having her get the chance to do this was just the best, and she did such a good job. They look so good.
I had her art as my background picture on my phone for so long. So I died when I saw that she was the artist for the dust jackets. Like, I'm going to pay for some expensive ass frame for those because
they are incredible. Yeah. They're incredible.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I love that your readers really, like, are such talented creators as well. Like, there is so much incredible fan art for your series, and I especially love that like university or like college AU of Malakiaj and Nadia, where he has the jumper with the eyeballs all over it. I don't know if you've seen that, Sid, but like
yes,
that sent me. It's beautiful. I printed that out and like stuck it on my wall and like stuck it in my bullet journal, and like I die. It's just incredible, and it just it's like one of the good parts of fandom is how prolific fan artists are now, and it's just, oh my god, I just die all day, every day. Yeah, so it must be so satisfactory for you to be able to like induce that artistic inspiration for these like super talented people.
I was an art minor in college, and when I graduated, I kind of like realized that I was only going to have time to do one or the other. And I knew that I could get better at writing faster than I could get better at art. So I stopped doing art. I really don't draw anymore. So it's very satisfying to like see all of that spring up because I can't do that anymore. It warms my heart.
That is so awesome. Yeah, you have like these amazing teams. One of the things I wanted to talk about was I don't know how close authors work with their publishers and their artists, but another thing that really struck me about like the series was like not only the different types of like covers and like designs of dust jackets, but so I have like the biggest pet peeve about like dust jackets unless they're like beautiful like this, which I like don't care because like look at that spine. Is one of the few times, but also it's like not like a weird flimsy material. It's like nice, like stocky, like paper.
And paid money for it. Those were expensive.
Yeah, and then like it's in like embossed. It's like fun to touch because I have I hate so many of them are just like gross and like thin and like rip and it's like annoying. But
the difference between the ones the publishers are willing to spend money on and the ones they don't want to spend money on, which is unfortunate. It's not even, but
but then
you can tell.
Just the absolute just serve these are, and I love this. Let them fear her, and I'm like, Nadia, you need to fear yourself, girl. What are you doing?
So I generally authors don't really get very much say. Usually the way it works is, they're like shown the cover like ideas, like the cover comps, and then they might be able to say something then, but doesn't necessarily mean they'll be listened to. And then the publisher will be like, here's the cover, like this is your cover, here it is. I got very lucky. They sent me a comp and it was really pretty, but it was not it was like, it looked like a book. It looked like a cover you would put on like a literary gothic, like a haunted house kind of book. And so we pushed back a little bit on that, and they came back with something that looked a little bit more like what we have now, but kind of different. And also, it wasn't white; it was mustard, like mustard yellow. It looked so. I missed the mustard yellow because it looked so cool. It looked like a 90s black metal album, which was my favorite thing. But before that, they had been talking about dagger covers. And I remember like seeing this exchange of emails talking about a dagger cover and writing it was like 3 pages long email about how like I get the symbolism that we're going for here, but here are 12 dagger covers. Most of them came out within the last 2 years. Here's Robin Lefevre's cover, Igniting Darkness, I think was the book that came out that year. I was like, we can't do any better than this. Like, this is the coolest dagger cover ever. I was like, if you put a dagger cover on this book, we will never see this book again. Because it's popular. It's a popular symbol, which means it kind of blends in. And so they came back with something that was similar to that. And there was a lot of drama and it was very exciting. And I was very stressed out for a really long time, which is why they don't include authors in this process, because it's extremely stressful and things can change in one meeting when somebody decides that they don't think Barnes and Noble will like it. But they hired one artist and then that didn't work. And then they came back and they were like, we're going to hire this guy named Mark. And this guy has done so many underground black metal album covers.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, well, okay, now I'm invested, and if we don't get him, I'm going to lose my mind. But we did. I love him. I love his stuff so much.
Yeah, it's very striking. It's so unique. It like peeks out on the shelves. I love like looking at them because they're like the fanciest like books that I got, and I'm like, ooh. And I just love how they're it's not embossed. I'm not sure what this is called, but
Stamp.
It's cool. Yeah, I like touching it.
Yeah, it's a stamp.
Yeah, I love touching it. And you look so cool in your author pick.
Yeah. Thank you. I took that myself.
Oh, that's cool.
I just didn't want to pay anyone.
Fair enough.
The case stamp for Blessed Monsters looks like this.
It's very beautiful.
So they did the white again, which I really like the white.
If I didn't already have both of my palms tattooed already, I would totally get that tattooed on my palm, but I don't have any real estate for that anymore. So
I'm really liking the eyeball vibes. I'm like not sure. I'm like, I don't get it yet. Like I'm sure I'll learn. But like not to talk about Evangelion again, but there is this like hellish creature because it has a lot of like religious undertones where like there's like this creature named Lilith that is like entity of like everyone's hopes and dreams and whatnot, and like if someone chooses to like end all of humanity, then she'll like appear and like with all her like eyeballs and stuff like that on her, and then like just wreak havoc, and then everyone's gonna get tanged and die. This is what it's giving me vibes of. It's just like I don't know how like accurate or like in the ballpark I am, but like that's what it's giving me. Just like
you'll have a great time with
oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Speaking of eyeballs, have you thought about what you're going to doodle in the books you signed for your indie yet? Because I know last time it was eyeballs.
Was eyeballs? I don't know how I beat eyeballs. I like that. It was so good. I don't know what to do now.
It was so good.
Especially because like a lot of the key symbolism in the third one is still eyeballs. Or it's things that I can't draw fast. So I don't know. I don't think I want to do a quote because I don't actually like doing quotes. They feel silly to me. I don't know why.
Completely reasonable.
They always feel a little silly, like when you open a signed book and it's got whatever the generic quote is that the author has signed all of them with. I don't know. It's not my favorite. So I have to figure out what I can draw really fast.
Because it's soon, right? Eyeballs. That you must be planning to sign those because it'll be like, what, in a week?
I'm signing them. I'm signing them next week, yeah.
I felt really bad for your indie bookshop because I was like emailing them like, do you think that Emily would also sign the first two books? I'm sorry to annoy you. And they're like, we'll ask her. And I was like, thank you.
I did that last time. It's fine.
Yeah.
And no,
they
can't be annoyed. Any book sale, it's a book sale. So
yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I'm paying full price for this beautiful book from this indie store. Like, surely they'll be pleased about it. And then I went to my husband and I was like, so for Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, this is what you're buying me. And he was like, sure. He's honestly puts up with so much shit from me. So I'm just so thankful that I could order from your indie store as well as the other editions.
You're so lucky. My book buying habits are completely my own because my partner and I, we like to read comics, which actually I wanted to talk just like briefly about that because I just read my first couple of Daredevil comics, and there's a lot of like very heavy Catholic guilt that there are tricklings of that near the last half of Wicked Saints that I very much appreciate it because I had like no interest in like Daredevil until I follow like a bookseller on Twitter whose name is Allison, and she loves comic books and she loves oh my god, do you know
I've known her for a really long time.
Yeah, she loves Matt Murdock, and she like wrote like this string of tweets about like Catholic guilt and like Matt Murdock and stuff like that, and ever since then I've been like I didn't know who, like all I knew was like, oh, Ben Affleck, like the lawyer. That was like, that was like my only like perception of that. And then she like these like string of tweets. Yes. So I'm just with the Chip Zdarsky stuff, and very heavy with the like religious undertones and like atoning for sin and like defining your heroicism by like how you appease your like the entity you believe in. And Nadia has so much of that because she like has multiple gods that she believes in, and like every time like that motif of like she was calling but like she couldn't hear any answer, I was just like like my chest is like caving in for her because I know she's down bad about that. So like my partner will buy comics and manga for me because we'll read it together, but my book button I have this album myself. But I really do like the religious guilt, and I think as someone who's no longer like a religious person, but like I'm very like invested in like the we call it like, I don't want to be offensive, but like just like the terror of religion. Like there are a lot of like very like terrifying elements about religion, and about like the ideas of like mortality and like heaven and hell and like sinning and atonement. Like it's all very like terrifying to me when I like think about it a lot. So I really like that you aren't afraid to go there.
Loudest motorcycle ever. I'm so sorry.
You're okay. You're good. And I was wondering if, because like the religions are very unique, I feel like in this, and like obviously like the whole trauma of like Catholicism, I don't necessarily think is like prevalent necessarily. I don't think it's just like one religion. So I was wondering if you had like certain religions that you kind of like amalgamated into like your world building, because it still feels unique, obviously. But I'd love to know.
Well, it's you can't write Russia without Russian Orthodoxy. So that's the Catholicism that you're sensing, because they're they're not the same. There's a lot of like different like there's different like theological
they
have a lot of differences, and like they don't like each other all that much. But I always kind of joked that it was the unholy combination of Slavic paganism and Russian Orthodoxy. And I had to kind of tread carefully, just because those are both live religions. And Slavic paganism is a closed religion. It's not really something that just anyone can join, mostly because of the language barrier, but also just because it was mostly eradicated by Christianity. So they're not like super inviting and open, which is why all the god names are fake. A few of them are instantly recognizable to their actual counterparts. Like Marzenia is just Marzana, or her like 12 other names. And Velios is based off Velez, and Chernog, who comes in later, is based on Chernobog. So there's a few, like the big players I wanted to be like recognizable to their
counterparts.
Yeah. But the rest of them, like, I just kind of made up when I needed a specific kind of magic.
Like,
I need the vibes. So let's have a god that kind of handles that.
Yeah. No, I was definitely getting the vibes because I said, it just like read Daredevil, so like that was like just like very like in my head already with like the like Catholic stuff. But I was like, I kind of like see it, and I know it's like Eastern, like European, like influenced. So I was just kind of like, I wanted to know, was like, where's the particular like lines? Because I know there are so many different like religions and so many different like sects of like Christianity, and like the whole like religious persecution that happened in literally like every single one of those countries because of like crusades and like imperialism and stuff. So I was just like, I want to know, because I just think it's very interesting to kind of like see it come to fruition, if that makes sense. Oh god, I geek out about like stuff like that in like world building. It's like so fascinating to me.
My favorite. I did a lot of research, and it was really hard to research. It was hard to research Slavic paganism, obviously, because Christianity mostly eradicated it. So anything that I could find, like if you Google it, it's like very well known that everything on Wikipedia is wrong. So you can't really go by Western sources, but also I can't read Russian. So, and then I had a really hard time with, it was even harder with Polish because like there's nothing that's been translated. Like it's just not there. It's even hard to really kind of research Polish folklore because a lot of it hasn't really been translated over. Everything you find on Poland is about World War II, which is fair, like makes sense. But when you're trying to write way further back, you hit a lot of roadblocks just because it's not really something that gets a whole lot of academic interest over here. So it was challenging. It was really hard. It took me about a year of digging through stuff. So.
Well, it definitely paid off because I feel like my approach to fantasy is so influenced by my D&D playing because like by some of my friends, they're DMs, so like I've seen them take like literally months like preparing campaigns and world building, like doing like actual research about like militaries and different religious sectors and like going through like old D&D like set like storybooks to like kind of come up with their stuff. That like I feel like when I approach fantasy, when I see it, I like really appreciate it because it's like I know you probably worked very hard to like make this come to fruition. So I really appreciate it. I think it's very cool.
It's fun. That's my favorite part. I like researching a lot.
Oh my god. Sheena. She's just like, bye. Then your dog is so cute, Victoria.
She is. She's silly. I have two. Here's the other one, actually. Betty, come here. 1, 2, 3. Whee! He's there. Here she is.
Oh, there she is. I have 2 cats, and they're assholes. So
I have 2 cats, and they were being really obnoxious. So they've abandoned me because I didn't want them to sit on my lap. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's totally okay. And then I had just a couple of follow-up questions, not necessarily about the book, because like obviously we loved it, like we're vibing, like 5 out of 5, like one of the best things I've ever read. But I know, well, I originally followed you because like I was like, oh my god, like someone who's goth is like very cool. So I did want to, like as we're transitioning to a day closing notes, I just wanted to ask, like, what are some of your favorite musicians and some of your favorite books? I was just really interested.
I'm gonna forget every artist I've ever listened to and every book I've ever read.
It's okay.
Bands, oh my god, I listen to so much music, and I listen to like only metal, but I listen to like every subgenre of metal. So my favorite band is Camelot with a K. They've been my favorite band since I was 13. I love them a lot. I listen to a lot of Catatonia. I listen to a lot of Batushka. Not the Batushka that keeps pumping out albums because they had a schism and a guy took control of the band, and there's a whole thing, and now there's 2 Batushkas, and it's very dramatic. I love black metal drama. It is always very good. I listen to a lot of like the old, like the original, like, well, okay, I don't listen to a lot of them because some of them are shitty people, but I listen to some of the like original like 90s black metal artists. I really like Emperor. I don't listen to a lot of metalcore. I find that the vocal style doesn't really mesh well with me, which is ironic because I listen to like I listen to metal that's just noise. Like it's like that is what it is. It is noise, and it's my favorite thing. I love Igor with 3 R's, which I know them. Yeah. I love them a lot. And one time I played them for my friend in the car, and she threatened to crash us off the side of the road if I didn't stop. So that's what generally people think of Igor. I'm trying to think of what else I've listened to recently. So like, yeah, I listen to a lot of black metal. Really,
yeah,
it's probably the biggest genre.
So, because like I told you, like it gave me like this book gave me like vibes, and I was like, this is the like set like music I'm like listening to while reading. But like I know that like goth culture is so like big, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you listen to like 80s new wave, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
It doesn't work for me. I'm weird about like production and all of the goth like 80s stuff. I don't like how the production makes everything sound soupy.
No,
inexplicable. I don't know why.
No, I feel you. It's like every it's hit or miss. So like I love 80s new wave, and I'm like I love The Cure, I love like Depeche Mode and stuff like that. But then I also listen to like Scrams and stuff, and like Orchid,
Right.
and like just all of this like stuff that people are like, what is this? But I tend to really like screamo, and then like I love not metalcore, but I love post hardcore, and then I love hardcore, and then like emo and stuff like that. So it's just like I love to like kind of get the music vibes for you first, so that like I can kind of like pick the right kind of music to listen to for the next 2 books.
Yeah. The second book was a lot of black metal. The second book was more black metal than the first one. And then favorite book. Oh god. Let me try to think of books that I've read.
Or even books you're super excited about this season, whatever is up to you.
My bookshelf. All of my favorite books are behind me. I really like Gideon the Ninth and Harold the Ninth. They're my favorites.
Maybe new. Does a day pass where you don't talk about them? I just have to know for research purposes.
No,
I knew it.
There isn't. I love The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood, which I really feel like not enough people have read. If you like Gideon the Ninth and Harold the Ninth, but you want that in high fantasy, you read The Unspoken Name.
Unspoken Name, okay, I will. I'll do that. I'll add it to the list.
So good.
We should do it for book club next month.
Oh my god.
It's way more dense. Then it's harder to read than Gideon the Ninth because it's more dense in kind of world building. It kind of reads more like an older kind of high fantasy writer. It's so good. I love it so much. It's my favorite. What else do I like? What do I like that's YA? I read a lot of YA, but when it comes down to it, I always am talking about the adult books. There's no reason for this. I really liked Down Comes the Night by Alison Saft, which came out in March. I remember finishing it and saying she did in one book what it took me 3 books to do. It's really good.
Down Comes the Night. Okay, I have to remember that.
The love interest is a war criminal, so that's the way to my heart.
Yes.
Cowabunga.
Awesome.
Hold on, let me squint to my back shelves because
I love when you like go through like a phase where you must be like listening to a different audiobook every day, and so we get like a bajillion recs like all in one like lot, and you just dump them on Twitter. It gives me life because then I'm just like, okay,
that's
guys, all right.
I have a deadline coming up, so I haven't read anything. But also I have blurb deadlines also coming up, and I have to finish books. I'm reading Slewfoot by Brahm right now, and he is like elder goth, like you if you've been around the internet, you've seen the picture of the lanky goth boy on a cemetery. Like that was him in the 80s. But it's kind of like The Witch in vibe. It's really good. Cool. I think it comes out this fall.
Oh, sweet. Something to keep in.
Yeah, it's part of Tor's new horror imprint. So,
which I am so excited for because I love Tor. I love I mean, come on, we love Tor, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Just like I lost my shit when you were reading Plain Bad Heroines by Emily A. Danforth, which was a book that I got. They I was one of the first times I ever got sent in a physical arc, so I felt like, Oh my god!
I randomly got that physical arc. Like, I don't know how I ended up with it. Like, I didn't ask anyone for it. It just showed up at my door.
Oh, that's so awesome. And then, like, I feel because like I went through this weird phase where like it was like a lot of VC Andrews, like Flowers in the Attic. Then it was like the like Haunting on Hill House, and then it was like In the Dream House, and then I read like Mexican Gothic, and then it was just like a lot of like literary like Gothic haunted house stuff going on, and I was just like, oh my god, it was like my brain is like, I was like, I can't be in house, like I have to leave, I have to go outside, and like that book comes along, it's like cool, I'm afraid of like wasps and bees now.
I'm terrified of wasps now.
Yeah, like absolutely terrified by anything that's going bzz, and if it's a wasp, I'm going to die now.
Oh, also, I just thought of another one because I'm not done with it yet. I'm listening to it, but I'm listening to The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst, and it's a standalone. It's so good. It's a standalone, and it's about like this group of adventurers 25 years after they killed the evil necromancer. And like it starts with the protagonist trying to resurrect her husband who died in that like battle 25 years ago. And then the evil necromancer comes back. It's so good. It's so good.
That's so awesome.
I have goosebumps now.
Yeah, it's like the best pitch. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, also has a great cover, which helps.
Oh, okay. We're excited. We're excited. Very excited.
Yes. Do you have any last questions or anything like that, Victoria?
No, just thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today.
Yes, fun.
We shit ourselves so much when we were typing up that email that we sent you. We were like, let's shoot our shot, let's do it. Okay. And then said like spell checked it, and like, yeah, we were just so when you did reply, we were like,
yeah, but we didn't want to be intrusive or weird, so we didn't want to be like, oh my god, like this person's definitely coming on, because like I know you were on Twitter being like, I have deadlines and stuff like that, so we're just like, we're gonna just like whatever happens, and like because you're a person, we want to be like mindful and not be like weirdos. And so we're like, okay, but then you were like, okay, we're still on, and I was like, yeah, we're doing it, we're going. Thank you so much for talking about blood magic and Kylo Ren for a little bit, and just all of this good stuff.
Yeah.
You're an amazing writer. I'm so glad that we had time to talk to you. You're a very cool person, and I think everyone should go out and buy all of the books. Do it.
Specifically, buy all 3 from Emily's Indie, The Learned Owl, so they get the dollars.
Yeah.
And you can get all 3 in one go.
I love them.
Do it.
And I'll sign eyeballs in Ruthless Gods. And maybe Blessed Monsters. I don't know what we're doing yet. Might be eyeballs
We'll find out.
Just because I like eyeballs. We'll see.
It's so great. Well, I wouldn't complain, like, honestly.
Yes, so you could buy the newest book, which is going to be Blessed Monsters, and you're going to be able to buy that April 6th. So, I don't know, pre-order it from Emily's Indie Shop, like, go and be safe because the world is still on fire and there's still a pandemic. At the bookstore, curbside pick it up, whatever, that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to be like, babe, like, getting my book, thank you. You can follow Emily. I believe your handles are all glitz and shadows, like everywhere. On Twitter, Instagram, and on Tumblr. Everywhere. We're very like active in fandom. And thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun. I'm so glad we were able to talk. We had really fun time reading this month, and we really appreciate your time.
I'm so glad that I have conned more people into reading Emily's books. So yeah, it makes me so happy. I feel so lucky.
And with that, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next month with to be decided book announcement.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Let's see.
I don't know how to leave. Oh, it's this button.